When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Hey. Events, connection, and opportunity, all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Hey. Events, connection, and opportunity, all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Hey! 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 Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Hey. Events, connection, and opportunity, all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-292-9005. That's 949-292-9005. Hey. Events, connection, and opportunity. All in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. 949-292-9005. That's 949-292-9005.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Napoleon Hill Institute Training. I'm blessed to be with the amazing Blaine Bartlett at blainebartlett.com, my teacher, coach, my mentor. He's always moving possibilities into reality for so many of the thousands of people that he works with around the world. Blaine, thank you for joining me.
Hey, my pleasure. Absolutely. I look forward to this every week.
Yeah, we are blessed to have this and our office hours, which is getting to 1,000 episodes.
Yeah,
we are so blessed to see each other twice a week at a minimum. But today's training is going to be how thinking shapes our outcomes. And to that measure, I want to first, Nick's a little under the weather, so I'll set the room for us real quick. We're in New York right now, and we have a lot going on in New York. We have meetups, holding courts, interviews, keynote speeches, VIP dinner for charity tomorrow night. And we have Fanatics Fest, where I have the owner of the Timberwolves, Jim Quick, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, LeBron James. The whole bits are there in New York. Come and see us. You got to email us, david@dmeltzer.com. But more importantly, get with it Stay informed, stay invited. We'll be at SoFi Stadium. We'll be at Miami. Messi will be done with the World Cup, and we'll be over there at Miami FC with him, and then a private investor group with Kishore Lula and many other people, Richard Dolan from the Dolan family office. So many people over there. And Jim Quick's going to be with me. I'll say hi for you. And then we're going to finish it up in Breckenridge, Colorado with Marshall Falk and Virgil Herring, the Ryder Cup of Wine and VIP dinner for charity there at the Finale, the #1 resort in Breckenridge, Colorado. And they have some of the last luxury villas there that we'll be spending time in. But more importantly, let's get to it, as we always do. If you want to stay informed and invited, it's area code 949-298-2905. That's 949-298-2905. And we are blessed. So, Blaine, we all know the thoughts that we have are so important, especially with Napoleon Hill. It's the basis of Think and Grow Rich, obviously. And everything that we create begins in the mind. That's why everything that we have happens twice. It's a lesson you taught me a long time ago. And it took me a little bit of thought to understand what you meant by everything happened twice. But our thoughts become our beliefs, our feelings, our words, and our actions. Our beliefs influence our decisions. Our decisions create our actions, and our actions produce outcomes. Another way to look at it is our thoughts, they create our perception. Our perception creates the meaning, intention of what we do, say, think, feel, and believe, which then creates the behaviors. And it's really the behaviors that create outcomes that we don't understand. Every single day, all the outcomes that we have, because of its infinite nature, we don't understand those. And if we want to try to control outcomes, we're going to fall into a serious, difficult situation. But we can control our thoughts, our perception, our meaning, our intention, and our behaviors. Not easy to control them, but we can never understand or control the outcome. So if we want to change our results, we must first change the first happening, the thinking that created them. Two people can face the exact same opportunity. One sees possibility, as you know, and takes action. The other sees risks and they hesitate. They stagnate. They're stuck. These circumstances are identical, but their thinking leads them to completely different outcomes. Our future isn't determined by these circumstances of today, the evidence of today. It's determined by our thoughts, perceptions, meaning, intention, and behaviors that we consistently achieve and believe. The first lesson today, and all the replay lessons today are available. Let me be your beloved servant. David means beloved. Meltzer means servant. David at dmeltzer.com to get all the exercises, guides, and the replay from today, especially our first lesson, which is our thoughts build confidence. And confidence isn't something that we wait to feel. It's something we build through these actions, these practices, these consistent, persistent pursuit. Our thinking determines whether we step forward or we remain stuck. We often delay pursuing opportunities because we don't feel ready. You should never feel ready. You should feel well practiced. You should feel prepared, but ready is not a feeling in itself. You should make sure that these practices will, and while so many high performers I work with, billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers, build confidence by taking imperfect action. And Blaine, the ego has a problem with imperfect action. Why, as in human nature, do we have a problem taking imperfect action when obviously we should always just be imperfect?
And honestly, it comes down to one word: identity. Yeah. If I'm taking imperfect action, what does that say about who I am? I mean, that's, there's that equivalency link that kind of creeps in there. This is where the thinking piece starts to get into a very interesting dynamic. How I describe something determines how I feel about it. How I feel about it generates my behavior. So that whole notion of imperfect action, the description that gets triggered is we key action to self. They are not the same thing. If I take imperfect action, it doesn't mean I'm an imperfect being. And I have to decouple that.
Yeah, and in that decoupling, people hope for the best. They hope it works. They hope they don't fail. Instead of having kind of the shift that you talk about for the sake of what? For the sake of what am I doing it? I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm improving with every attempt. And obviously, Thomas Edison is someone who's the icon for attempts and learning and growing from each and every of his 10,000 attempts to create electricity. As he built that. In that aspect, we want three things, and it also helps us to understand why we don't want to move forward, because we're out of control if we move forward. We're worried we won't prove ourselves, and people will make fun of us. So we're defending that identity that is a perception anyway. It's a self-image. Is there any way when we feel insecure, when we're not ready, and this idea of completely ready is ridiculous, but I can imagine yesterday in the All-Star game, those are the best players. When they're walking up to the plate, there had to be an instant of a thought that, man, there's all these people watching. I've done this a million times, but the great ones have no reservation, even though they know they may not be completely ready.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, lesson number 2. And to this measure, if you would like lesson number 1 and really understand how our thoughts build confidence and what we do to be ready, to be well rehearsed, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Lesson number 2, our focus actually determines what we find. And that's not necessarily blame that we find what we wanted. Right? There's a big thing here. Whatever we consistently focus in on expands, as one other early lesson you taught me. Our attention and intention determine what we notice and ultimately what we experience. And I've seen so many people at our VIP dinners, our networking events, they only see competition and other people only see collaboration. There's a certain frequency when we get people together because they are collaborative in their nature. They only see, hey, we're here to help one another and know people to help one another. And in the exact same room, 2 people have a different experience. And so this energy flows where our attention and intention goes. What did you mean when you taught me that what we consistently pay attention to and give intention to, what we focus in on, expands?
Well, it has to do with the flow of energy. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. Intention is, nice to, my intention was this, but where was my attention being focused? And it's, the whole parable of the 2 wolves. Which one am I going to feed? I can see an obstacle, a barrier. I can see a calamity and go, oh my God, it's horrible. Or I can look at it from the perspective, and it's a perspective shift, how I describe it. Go, what's the unexpected opportunity that may be here that I haven't noticed yet, that I haven't recognized, that could actually be leveraged, that wouldn't exist literally as an act, something that's accessible if this catastrophe hadn't occurred. So the catastrophe is a wake-up call. It's not a shut-down call. It's a wake-up call.
I like that. It's a wake-up call, and it is a transition from 2 of the biggest detriments to our success. One, obviously, is FOMO, the fear of missing out, and the other is FOPO, the fear of other people's opinion. And in this idea of expanding through intention, attention, and focus comes the idea of JOMO and JOPO, the joy of missing out and the joy of other people's opinion. And that too is just a mindset, a meaning, a perception of intention that creates different behaviors when, for example, you're at a networking event. Those who have JOMO and JOPO experience that event, expand that event in a completely different way than those with FOPO and FOMO. And so, so many of us, what am I missing? what don't I have? What do other people want from me? Instead of I am, what am I doing to interfere with it? And so as we focus in on and determine what we find, we need to also have the expectation we're always going to find what's best for us, not necessarily what directly we wanted, because sometimes what we want is not what's best for us. And the great infinite nature of the universe is always going to protect, promote, love, and perfect us with evidence we don't understand. If you would like to get this lesson and exercise, or just a replay, David means beloved, at D, my first initial, Meltzer means servant, David at dmeltzer.com. Email me directly, and I'll be happy to help you find what you desire or better. Lesson number 3, expectations. Our expectations actually shape our performance. Our expectations influence how we prepare, practice, pursue, perform, and persevere. It's a lot of P's in that alliteration. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help you pee, but there's a lot of P's in there. We rarely outperform the standards that we expect from ourselves. I see this so many times in the elite athletes that I work with. Elite athletes mentally rehearse success long before they experience it physically because they expect excellence. And Tiger Woods was probably the best example of someone that, did things until he didn't get them wrong, not till they did them right. And our expectations should be learning, growth, mistakes, and we should prepare for the learning, the growth, and the mistakes, not for the actual outcome itself. Is it beneficial to begin to act as those that the outcomes are already done, or at least in progress, before we actually start to prepare, perform, and persevere?
Absolutely. You mentioned elite athletes. I don't claim to be elite, but when I was at university, high school and university, I was a gymnast, and I would always in my mind see that routine that I was going to be called on to execute. I would see it in perfected elements. I mean, every hand was landing in exactly the right spot. I literally could feel, myself in the air. And you would, if you were watching, I'd have my eyes closed, but my body's moving in concert with that. So that physiological rehearsal is important. Now, I never hit the routine exactly. I never hit it perfectly, but I always saw it as perfect. And as soon as I could see it as being perfect, I could take that next step, which was chalk my hands up and make a presentation to the judge. I'm ready to go. And that I needed to have that step. I needed to have that picture in my mind.
I think one of the things that's missing is a lot of people do visualization, but they don't align their behaviors with the expectation as well. So they do all the mental work, but they don't do the actual work.
Yep.
And
you got to step out into the out onto the gymnasium.
Yeah, and you can't be an extra miler with daily behaviors. You have to be an empty miler. You can't go the extra mile every once in a while. And I see students and athletes and student athletes do this all the time, right? Study 16 hours before a test instead of 15 minutes a day, or work out 6 hours on a Saturday thinking that's going to do it, instead of having a daily practice that gets strength, flexibility, all the different balance, all the different areas that need to be acted upon. So make sure that not only do the thoughts of the expectation and the visualization of the expectation, but align the behaviors with your expectations. If you want the expectation guide and exercise, email me, David at dmeltzer.com. David at dmeltzer.com. Lesson number 4, our mindset determines actually our resilience as well. There's only one way you won't achieve what you desire, guaranteed. Only one guarantee you won't, and that's quitting. And so a lot of people discount resilience of, and if you all the great quotes from all the great athletes, they all have, I'm talking about the world's greatest athletes of all time. They all have a quote that somehow incorporates resilience. You're right. It's, not how, not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog, and all the different things. How hard can you get hit? Things like that from every great champion. But one thing's true is adversity itself is inevitable because resistance is inevitable when you're growing and expanding. This is the whole idea of force and counterforce. If you're going to create a force, you're going to create a counterforce to it. But our mindset determines whether these particular challenges, setbacks, mistakes become obstacles that you can't overcome, or do they become stepping stones, learning lessons, slowly but surely, step by step, getting to where you want to be or better. If anyone's in business, I meet several times an entrepreneur and he tells me I've never lost money. And I said, oh, that's too bad. I wouldn't like to do business with you.
Yeah.
And there's what? I'm like, oh, I don't tell them this, but I know they're lying and I don't want to do business with a liar. But two, if you've never failed, then what have you learned? And I don't want to pay for that dummy tax if you haven't already made a mistake. So either you're a liar or you don't have paid the dummy tax. Either way, I don't want to do business with you, which is in my book, Don't Do Business with Dicks. But a business setback is, if learned from, is a catalyst for innovation, right? We use Edison as an example, but if we choose to search for the lesson instead of dwelling on the mistake, the loss, and, we are made from these mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And every challenge carries the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. And we all know who said that. That is our man, Napoleon Hill. Every challenge carries the seed of equal or greater opportunity. Share with me a story from your life when you were younger, and you may not have, like me, subscribed as well to challenges carrying seeds of equal or greater opportunity.
Early in my career, my speaking career, my training and development, my coaching and consulting career, this goes back to the 1970s in the personal development movement. I was fired twice by the CEO of the company, and I didn't know it. So I kept showing up, and my direct boss, flew air cover for me. Yeah, she's the one that was given the instruction to, say, he's out of here. The mindset that I had was, I knew I was making mistakes. I knew I was screwing up, but I was also, I was kind of laughing at it. And I was, looking at it from the standpoint of, that was interesting. I learned something here that I can now immediately apply again. So that little gap that she gave me between when he said, get him out of here, and the cover that she flew that allowed me to be there, the next time he showed up, I was still there. And I was doing something different. I was being, the key here, I was being different in the way that I was actually interacting with that, in this particular case, with one of the programs that we were putting on. And I've never forgotten that. Just the ability to say, I'm learning something from this, and I'm gonna step out there. And I remember very specifically, I had a handful of note cards, that I was, this was 3x5 note cards. That was my script. Somebody in the audience said, throw the cards away. And I went, because I knew the material going back to, I was prepared, but I had this crutch. So I literally, tossed the cards up in the air and stepped back onto the stage, and away we went. And it was one of the best programs that I had done up to that point. And just being willing to take that risk, to grow. I know if I'm going to grow, I'm going to stub my toe.
I know if I'm going to grow, I'm going to stub my toe. Every challenge carries the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. Ask, what is this teaching us? And turn every obstacle into a lesson learned, and replace all of your complaints, all of your worries, resentments, and guilts. Replace those complaints with curiosity, and you will find the light the love, and the lessons. If you want the exercise and guides on how to turn your complaints into curiosity, how to have a mindset of resilience so that you never quit, you just continue learning and being made from your mistakes, following the guides of Napoleon Hill, email me. David means beloved, at D is my first initial, Meltzer means servant, David@dmeltzer.com. Let me be your beloved servant. Lesson number 5, Blaine. Our beliefs, which I believe our beliefs carry feelings and energy with it, and our self-talk, which is directly relative to our self-image. This is how we shape our identity, our self-image, and we'll never overachieve our own self-image. I love to repeat that we never will overachieve our own self-image. And so many people don't align the meaning and intention and purpose with their behaviors, and therefore they limit their self-image, their identity. The conversations that we have with ourselves are the most powerful conversation. They become the foundation of self-image, of identity, and we start believing it. And so you can imagine the power that this has as we believe our own rhetoric, our own conversations that determine our own self-image and our own identities. And we have that power as co-creators in this universe, in commanding what we do, working with. When we repeatedly tell ourselves, we're not ready, we're not good enough, we can't do it, we actually start to act in ways that reinforce that feeling and belief. The words that we say, the words that we repeat, that becomes the self-image, the identity that we live. You have helped so many people, Blaine, identify where they're interfering with their self-image, identify the introspective search for who I am and what they're doing to interfere with it. What are some of the things that you teach or can help us with to identify when we're interfering with our self-image?
I start with just the recognition that my sense of identity is a fabrication. I mean, I was not born with this identity. I built this identity over the years of my life. And that building process, I mean, I live in a home right now that we completely remodeled. We basically tore it down to studs and rebuilt it, added a story. You know, the exterior looks different. And the identity of the house is different. Napoleon Hill, or not Napoleon Hill, I'm sorry, Neville Goddard. Yeah, this was in my meditation today. Your concept of yourself can only be driven out of consciousness by another concept of yourself. Who has control of generating that concept of self? I do. So I start that rebuilding process. And it took me, X number of years to build the identity that I have today. It will take me some time to do that, but we do that through repetition. We do that through practice. We do that through generating different habits. Our friend Jim Quick can speak to that very specifically. But all of this comes into play here. This sense of identity drives everything because it's rooted in consciousness.
So true. And we have to replace that limiting language, that introspective internal language, with empowering language. And two of the things that I changed in my life was I have to versus get to, and I can't do it compared to I'm learning how to do it. And you can almost feel those words and what they do to your own vibration and frequency and awareness. You have been able to help guide everyone with the right thoughts, words, beliefs, and feelings to expand their self-image and their own identities so that they can achieve all that they believe in the respect of Napoleon Hill. If you would like to learn more about how self-talk shapes our identity, email me, David@dmeltzer.com. All right, time for the final lesson before we get some Blaine Bartlett Q&A of the day, a little Ask Me Anything session with Blaine Bartlett that he gives you, world thought leader, business counsel, executive himself, giving you his time every Wednesday, 30 minutes of Ask Me Anything. We are blessed to have him as part of our community. I'm blessed to have him, not just as a mentor, teacher, and a coach, but as a friend and a big brother. Thank you, Blaine, once again. As we get to the last lesson, our daily, and I'll repeat the word daily, our daily thinking creates our future. And this is where, I talked about Nick Saban and how when he shifted his perspective from I'll do anything, I'll say anything, I'll think anything, I'll believe anything, I'll feel anything to win a championship, instead of I'll do, say, think, feel, and believe to build champions, because champions win championships. And he knew that the thoughts that we repeat become our behaviors and our habits, and our habits become those behaviors, and our behaviors ultimately they create the results that we desire, or better. Always say or better, because we don't always understand better, but we do understand results sometimes are not evidentiary to where we want to be or better. So people who consistently focus in on gratitude and forgiveness and accountability and effective communication, being of service and learning and growing, they naturally create stronger relationships. They then get more options, opportunities, and touches of favor, which create greater fulfillment and purpose in their lives. We know that the blue zones no longer are about the air quality or the water quality. It's about the social quality, those areas in the world where they have this greater purpose and fulfillment as a polis, as a political group of people, a socialized community of people that want to help each other and know people to help each other. Our dominant thoughts, consciously, witness consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, eventually become our dominant results. 90% of the results are created by those. And you are a master at these types of things that we should be doing daily. But I'm going to go one step backwards. How can we get people to do something that is not aligned with the human nature and human experience, which is repetitive daily and honest with ourselves to be repetitive daily?
Everybody has an example of something that they do on a repetitive daily basis. They get out of bed on the same side of the bed every morning. They brush their teeth with the same hand every day. They don't even think about it. So one way that we begin to introduce new habits in the context of repetition is to key it back to something that's already being done on a daily basis. Number one, what that does is it says to the physiology, I know how to do this. Yeah, it's literally the body goes, I can relax a little bit. The second thing is, if I can key a new practice, a new habit, the development of something different to an existing structure, and again, I'm going to bring Jim Quick into this here, and James Clear as well. Yeah, we key it to something that's already being done. So rather than trying to dump something new into a system, what I want to do is, if there's a pattern running, leverage the pattern and begin to add something into it that begins to take it over time. And you can actually do some things very interestingly and very quickly if you're willing to do that, rather than stressing about, oh my God, I forgot to. Oh my God, I didn't do it. Yeah, I remember Bob Proctor told me years and years ago. He asked me to read some four chapters in Think and Grow Rich, or actually in Wallace Waddle's book. But anyway, he said, I want you to do this for 90 days. I'm going, well, okay, I can do this for 90 days, I think. And he says, no. Here's the deal. Every day for 90 days, you read these 4 chapters. If you miss a day, you start over. I'm like, whoa, okay. Now that upped the ante just a little bit. And going back to relationships, I said, Bob, I give you my word, and I'll do that. And I valued my word with him. I value my word anyway, but I valued my word with him in particular in this particular instance. And so I spent the next 90 days, and I did not miss a day. I did it when I was working out. I did it in the sauna. I did it when I was, on audiobook as I was driving down the highway or in the car. Didn't miss it, but I keyed it to something that I was already doing. And this is where I got started. I'd work out on the treadmill. I mean, I'd be, or not the treadmill, the elliptical. I would have these chapters in front of me. So it was something I was already doing. So after about 35 days, it became something that I actually started looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're a lot stronger than me. I made a commitment to say thank you before I get to bed and before I wake up, and I didn't tie it to something. And it's a lot simpler just to say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up. It's 0.1 seconds and it's free. But it took me 9 months until I could do it for 30 straight days because I didn't tie it to something. And now I tie all kinds of things, tracing calligraphies, my gratitude practice, all types of things. And it works, definitely works. That's why Blaine Bartlett's one of the greatest teachers, mentors, and coaches. Remember, he will not only give you the directions to where he is or better, but he'll teach you how to take the best steps to avoid the potholes or shortages and obstacles. He also will bring the best out of you. In conclusion, before we let Blaine take these questions, how our thinking shapes our outcome. Every achievement, every relationship, opportunity, option, touch of favor, and outcome begins long before it appears. It begins with a thought. It always happens at least twice. When we improve the quality of our thinking, we improve the quality of every decision that we make. The highest performers in the world, the billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers that I work with, don't simply work harder than everyone else. They think differently. They focus on possibilities instead of limitations, service and abundance instead of scarcity, and growth instead of fear. The greatest investment we will ever make isn't in a business, a stock, crypto, or a piece of real estate. It's in developing a mindset, in developing a self, in developing I am that consistently, persistently pursues your potential of abundance, resilience, and opportunity. If you would like the replay from today, if you'd like the guides and exercises and my book, all you need to do is email me, David, that means beloved, at D, my first initial, Meltzer means servant.com. Let me be a beloved servant. Email me with all your requests, David at dmeltzer.com. I want to thank the amazing Blaine Bartlett for joining me. Check him out at blainebartlett.com. He will be on Clubhouse and ask me anything for the next 30 minutes. Blaine, I will see you tomorrow on office hours.
You got it, buddy. Looking forward to that one as well. Okay. You have a great time in New York.
You got it, brother. Be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Thank you, Blaine. You bet.
Here in Clubhouse.
There we go. Got the mic on.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Blaine, for co-hosting with David here for today's Napoleon Hill Institute training. And now as we open things up for Q&A, of course, I want to encourage everybody that is joining us online on the webinar as we are multicasting on all platforms. As you have your questions for Blaine today, please go ahead and put them in the room chat. And of course, for any of our friends here in the Breakfast with Champions, use the hand icon if you are in the audience to request to join the stage. And we will, of course, bring you up for your question with Blaine. And if you are currently on stage and have a question for Blaine, go ahead and put a quick note in the room chat, and I will be happy to pass the mic over your way. Now, without further ado, we have a new familiar face of yours for you, Mr. Blaine, which is Brian Swift, returning for his second week back-to-back. Mr. Swift, the mic is yours, my friend. Unmute yourself and kick us off with the first question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Blaine, love your insights and mindset as to what you talked about. But the key to all that, not just, correct expectations and managing that and our mindsets, is action. Because, it's like goals. Goals without action just become somewhat dead words. It's really our actions that create these opportunities to develop and grow and rise up to new levels of our current selves. What are your thoughts on that?
I could not agree with you more, Brian. Life requires movement. And in order to thrive in my life, I need to be taking movement on a consistent basis in pursuit of a worthy ideal to grab a piece from Earl Nightingale here in terms of how he defines success. The meditation piece that I shared just a bit ago from Neville Goddard, there's a whole piece here that kind of sums this up, and it's specific to what you're speaking about here. The dynamic prevails over the static, the active over the passive. One who is a doer is magnetic and therefore infinitely more creative than any who merely hear. Be among the doers. So that notion of action, I've got to be in movement.
No, and that's stated perfectly, because in order to fail, and I believe in failing forward, so it's not a failure, it becomes a lesson. You have to take action to fail.
Absolutely.
Or you never get a chance to grow and build confidence and learn that failure are stepping stones, not stumbling blocks.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. In order to grow, I have to stub my toe. Truly.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate listening to you and your insights. I'm a big follower of all the people you guys talked about, as well as John Maxwell, one of my favorites also. And for those out there, if you're not reading, Dave's book, Napoleon Hill's book, I mean, you can keep Bob Proctor or whoever. You're shorting yourself on opportunities to grow through their wisdom. So thank you so much.
You bet. You bet. And one other book that we can add into that is my newest one, which is called Stop Drifting, Start Living, which picks up on Napoleon's work on outwitting the devil.
Awesome. Two more books for people to jump on. Have a great day.
Okay, Brian. Thank you much.
Thank you, Brian, for getting us started on the right foot, my friend. We appreciate you as always. For our next question of the day, I'm going to pass it over to the lovely Colleen, who is patiently waiting. Colleen, the mic is yours. Carry us on with the next question.
Thank you so much. As always, Blaine, amazing training. I was curious about the idea around detaching. When you practice that detachment, when you really genuinely care deeply about the result, what are those kind of practices that you put in place, detach from the outcome, where you're not disappointed, but really understanding is taking me in
the idea of non-attachment does not suggest, if we really pay attention to the way it's positioned in Buddhist philosophy and just some Stoic philosophy as well, it doesn't mean I don't experience disappointment. If I really truly care about that result and it doesn't occur, I will be disappointed. The key to not being attached is that disappointing outcome doesn't stop me. And literally, and this is where the mindset, the growth mindset, literally, I'll take an example here. I draw the bow back, the arrow in the bow, and I've got it perfectly, lined up, and I let it go, and it's going directly to the bullseye. Gust of wind comes up and blows that arrow off course, and I miss the bullseye, and I hit the next ring out. I did everything perfectly. I envisioned the ideal. I saw the arrow in the center. I really wanted the gold medal rested on this. I had no control over the wind. So attachment, if I continue to be run by the disappointing dynamic that is going to be present when that result wasn't achieved, I'm not going to be learning what I could do next, and I'm not going to be willing to actually step up and do it again necessarily. This whole notion of getting back on the horse comes into play. But I think where we get hung up, Colleen, oftentimes is thinking we shouldn't be disappointed when the result doesn't happen. Disappointment can actually be an indication of desire for that particular outcome. So that desire is what I want to focus back on. I want to focus back on, okay, what do I need to do next? Okay, how can I mitigate the exposure to the wind, as an example? Well, I shoot in a barn where the wind doesn't have much. So I start thinking about, okay, that there's a lesson here. If I get stopped by the disappointment, That's where I've got some difficulty in moving forward.
Right. Thank you so much for that.
You bet.
Awesome. Thank you, Colleen, for another wonderful question. And Judith, just as a quick note, I see you there in the audience and that you've requested to join the stage. For some reason, it's not allowing me to accept you. So my suggested action would either be go ahead and put your question into the room chat, or if you would like, you can actually exit the room, close the app, and then rejoin. And oh, there she goes. Now she is on stage. Well, Judith, we will come to you next, because for the meantime, I'm going to pass it over to Mike, who has been patiently waiting with a question. So Mike, the floor is yours. Please unmute yourself and carry us on.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Gotcha, Mike. Good to hear your voice.
Amazing. Good to hear your voice as well, Blaine. I look forward to this every single Wednesday. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yeah. What can I do for you today?
Yeah. So question is regarding to fear. And how do you identify the subconscious layers of fear that may be there that you're trying to draw awareness to, or trying to identify the reaction to? How can you drive further awareness to underlining fear from maybe past trauma or life experiences, where the case may be? How do you kind of contribute or identify kind of source?
I think that's a great question. This is where, in one sense, emotional intelligence comes into play here in the context of identifying what's the, to your point, what's the source. So if you've got a repetition going on here where similar circumstances generate that similar experience, that fear-based experience, you start looking at first of all, what's the pattern? So we've got this event generating this experience emotionally for me. So there's how I describe something determines how I feel about it. So what's the patterned response that is my descriptor dynamic? I begin pulling that apart. Where did that come from? I started, that event happened. I keyed it to this outcome, this imagined outcome. And it is always keyed to an imagined outcome. Fear is something, I'm going to lose something in the future. Fear is never in the present. I'm going to lose something in the future. So that idea of loss comes into play here. Where did I have that experience? And I start peeling it back. And I will find a point where that initial trauma, if you would just use that word, that initial trauma occurred. And it would not have to have been, I was locked in the glove box when I was, 6 months old and my parents forgot me. It doesn't have to be that big. It can be something very trivial, but the way that it was coded at that point in time locked it in at an emotional level. And then we started sorting. Chris Argyris out at Harvard years ago developed something that's called the ladder of inference. And it's a way to describe how we begin making stuff up and how we begin layering things on top of past experiences. So being able to just kind of sit for a moment and trace it back, unbundle that. It's a patterned approach. It's a patterned experience. So I want to identify as best I can what was that source. And I'm not talking about going into deep analysis here. Essentially what I want to look at though is, okay, if this is compromising my ability to be effective, let's kind of see where it came from. And you just kind of trace it back, and oftentimes you'll discover that what you thought was in play actually wasn't any longer, or doesn't need to be in play any longer.
I think one of the words that really stood out to me for whatever reason was coded, the way it was coded. So it's allowed me to kind of decipher that as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet, Mike. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Mike. And as we enter into the fourth quarter here of today's Napoleon Hill Institute training, want to thank everybody for joining us. This is the extended Ask Me Anything and Q&A session with the double B. That is Blaine Bartlett. Of course, you can reach him at blainebartlett.com. And as a reminder for all of our friends on the webinar and the multicast, make sure to put your questions into the room chat. put a quick note in the room chat, and I'll be happy to pass the mic over your way. Now, without further ado, our next question is going to come from Judith, who is here on stage. Judith, great to see you here, my dear. Why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself and carry us on? Oh, Judith, unmute is lower left-hand corner of your screen. And if you are having technical difficulties for any reason, it seems as if you are. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Marianne, who is here on stage patiently waiting. Marianne, are you able to unmute?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Marianne. Good to hear your voice again.
Thank you. So today you spoke a lot into, identity. And I noticed with my own identity was built on being a mother for so many years. And now I'm growing into a businesswoman. And for me, removing feelings and moving into more facts so I can be a better businesswoman rather than, having that caring attachment and leading with business rather than that mother role. I'm really working on figuring that out. So can you give me anything to lead me better in that direction?
Okay. Don't stop caring. I'll just kind of put it in that way. Find a way to make your caring appropriate within a business context. Yeah, I know you well enough, although we haven't spent a lot of time together, but I know you well enough to know you that you can't not care. That's just kind of part of your DNA. And the fact that being a mother was a role that was perfectly suited for that is something that gets to be celebrated. You don't want to throw the no pun intended here, the baby out with the bath. Okay, so that caring can be translated and transported into a business environment in a way that actually is an invitation for people to participate with you. And when you begin to think of it in that context, and you start identifying different ways that you could interact, different ways that you could invite people in, different ways in which you can actually solve problems with people. And the key here is with people. So I would be cautious about telling you not to care or telling you to dial caring back. I think it's an important part of the repertoire, and I think it's something that is significantly missing in a lot of business activities today.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Marianne, as always. And next up here in the Breakfast with Champions, we got our two favorite letters. Of course, that is GG. GG, my dear, why don't you unmute yourself and keep us rolling?
Hello, happy Wednesday, everyone. And Nick, I hope you're feeling better. So, Blaine, my question would be how does our environment shapes our thinking and then shapes our outcome? And the reason I'm saying this is before I started working with the people that I'm working now, being given mentored by you and David, and all of you are like, hey, don't make mistakes. It's okay. And after that, I started taking more responsibility. So it was the opposite of what I was thinking. And that actually changed my life and changed my outcomes. So I want you to talk a bit about the environment as well.
Okay. Yeah, I love how the universe works here. I just wrote an article today. It's on my Substack, The Law of Ontological Design. And essentially what we're looking at with that is that you design your world and your world designs you back. So, if people are interested, they can go to my Substack or, onto my LinkedIn page. There's a newsletter there that the Soul of Business, and there's a copy of the article there as well. But the short answer to this, Gigi, is that we are continuously in the process. We can't not be doing this of designing our environments. We're always designing our environment. We design it with the people that we bring into it. We design it with the thoughts that we have. We design it with the physical artifacts that we have in our space. All of that stuff kind of goes into play. We design the world. And then the world designs us in return here. Yeah, Marshall McLuhan said that we shape our tools and thereafter our tools shape us. So there's this reciprocity that's always in play. So what most people don't pay attention to is the environment in which they are actually transacting their life. They just accept what was given. This is, this is what I've got. This is what I've got to work with. No, it's not. I can start to bring things into the environment, whether it's books that I'm reading or television that I'm watching, or people that are inspiring to me. I bring these things into my world. I design my world with these pieces, and they begin to define me. They begin to design me. In return, I begin to actually, because they're in my presence all the time, and I'm in its presence all the time. There's this flow of energy, and it's a design energy. So, I used to do well, I still do quite a bit of training and development work with executives around the world. I'll be in Japan for 10 days later this month, working with a group of CEOs. And one of the things that I'm going to launch this series of lectures with them that I'm going to have them do is make a paper airplane. Now everybody knows how to make a paper airplane, so make a paper airplane, and then pick a spot that's about 5 meters from you and fly that airplane to the spot. Almost nobody ever hits the spot that they have selected as a target, not because they didn't know how to make an airplane, not because they didn't know how to fly it, and not because the target wasn't clear. They missed the airplane because the airplane wasn't designed to achieve what it was that we were asking it to do. So that question of design is absolutely crucial. In philosophy, it's called ontology, the study of the nature of reality. What's real? How does reality come into being? What's the relationship between the world as it is and the world as it's perceived and experienced? These things are really, really specific, and we want to pay attention to it. We design our world, and our world designs us back. And it's not a poetic observation. It is a hidden lever of leadership power. We want to be paying attention to this. The environments, the structures, the processes, and the tools that we use in life are having an impact on us. It designs us in return. Now, there's a long-winded answer to your question, but I hope it was useful.
Very. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gigi. And I want to take this opportunity to pass the mic back over to Judith. Judith, I'm not sure, are you able to unmute yourself? I know you accepted on stage as you wanted to ask Blaine a question today. So I want to give you that opportunity to do so. And it's looking like you are still having some difficulty in terms of getting unmuted. So there are no worries there. And Blaine, I'm going to go ahead and leverage these last few minutes to remind our community on where we're going to be, provide some upcoming invitations, not obligations as always. But before I do so, where can people get in touch with you? As I know everybody on the webinar, as well as here in the Breakfast with Champions, need more of the double B, as we all do. So go ahead and provide where people can get in touch with you, and then I'll close out today's session.
Perfect. Yeah. David mentioned this. BlaineBartlett.com is the most well, that's the website. And there's all kinds of resources and whatnot that you could be pointed towards there. My books and videos and different resource material. Direct email would be bbartlett@avatar-resources.com. That's my company website, avatarresources.com. But you can send me a DM, at that email address, bbartlett@avatar-resources.com. And then you can also, kind of interact with me on a more, informal basis at a community that we've developed or that we've set up here. And it's at lead.blainebartlett.com/SOBE, Soul of Business Experience, SOBE community. So B Bartlett or lead at blainebartlett.com/SOBE community. And there's a whole community of material that we've got there, and also like-minded folks that are interested in growing themselves as leaders.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mr. Blaine, and want to, share some extra love and gratitude for you taking the time every single week to be a part of these Napoleon Hill Institute trainings with David and, of course, our extremely abundant community. Want to thank everybody in our community for joining us here today for another edition of the Napoleon Hill Institute training with David Meltzer, the Institute's chairman, as well as the double B, that is Blaine Bartlett. And, of course, for everybody that is joining us, if you would like the guide and exercise from today's training, How Thinking Shapes Your Outcomes, all you need to do is email David directly, david@dmeltzer.com, to get the guide and exercise. And if for any reason, if you don't have a copy of his book, which he'll be happy to send you a copy, sign a copy, and even pay for shipping, all you need to do is email him. Once again, just david@dmeltzer.com. And in terms of invitations, but not obligations, we want to include everybody in our community by inviting you to the over 200 cities that we touch each and every year, adding on a car wash, which is the addition of a community meetup, holding court, or even one of our VIP dinners for charity as we come into town. As David mentioned at the beginning of today's training, he is currently in New York City, as we are going to be there for the next several days for Fanatics Fest 2026, as well as the Board of Advisors group and so much more, adding on a car wash while in New York. So if you'd like to join us, just go ahead and email David directly so we can promptly get back to you, david@dmeltzer.com. From there, we're going to be back over to Los Angeles, California, at the greatest stadium in the world, SoFi Stadium, for the July edition of our Mastermind, plus car wash once again. Then from there over to Miami, Mr. Lionel Messi, as we're going to be with him, and Inter Miami CF for a game day mastermind experience. Hopefully also celebrating after today's win, what is a World Cup championship for Mr. Messi himself. Then we'll be jumping over across the pond to London for our private members only investor mastermind plus car wash. And then closing things out in Breckenridge, Colorado at the Breckenridge Golf Club, adding on a car wash there once again as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's too much to keep up with and keep track of, and that's why we created our text community to provide you with the reminders on where we're going to be and these 200 invitations, but not obligations a year. So if you would like to join us, all you need to do is text us at area code 949. Next three digits are 298. Last four digits are 2905. And of course, Gigi will remind you all with our jingle as we close things out. But we will be back here live on Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of David's Free Friday trainings. Now, in the meantime, have an incredible rest of your Wednesday ahead. And as David always says, continue to be more interested than interesting, and be kind. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Gigi, hit it.
Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Events, connection, and opportunity, all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. Back for life. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So you need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.